All right, we've got my LS3 Miata in the shop, back on the lift. We've got a handful of things to do this thing today, but one of the main things, the thing I'm most excited about at least, is we're going to build an over-the-top, overly elaborate, unnecessarily extensive custom exhaust for this thing, and we're going to do it center exit and ideally come out the jack point here of our new bash bar. So last time we got this bash bar on, cut the car, did all the stuff we needed to do for it, because we're going to be running the bash bar only in the rear, no rear bumper. We still got to get it powder coated, but this works out because we're doing some fab work around it. We won't have to worry about messing up the beautiful powder coating. So that is project number one. Again, there's a handful of things we're going to be doing, but that is step number one because I'm the most excited about it. So we might as well tackle that first. It's going to be a fun little project. So let's bring this thing up and start coming up with a game plan. So my game plan is to build from here, because if we don't like it, if we change our minds, if we want to do something different, this is a pretty easy spot to build to. It's already V-banded. We can come off and come out this side like normal. We can do a turn down here. We can do a turn back. We've got a lot of options from this point. It's nice and tucked up high. It's already hung there. So I think we're going to try to build from here. Plus, it'll make it a little more over the top and elaborate than it needs to be, which is kind of the point. We're going to have some fun with this one. We got our box O exhaust parts to dig through. Still have plenty of material left from building exhaust for many different cars at this point. So we should have everything we need to make our over-the-top, elaborate, overcomplicated exhaust. All right, so the first thing I want to do is see how feasible it is to get a piece through here. So 3 inches is a little on the big side. So we'll see if we can crush this down, ovalize it a little bit. This is a scrap piece. And get it to poke through, and if we can, then we'll do it to our end piece. It's gonna spring back. Let's try that. That's pretty close. A little bit more. It's still so close. Kind of pushing it at this point. Might be a little too much. Looks cool though. I wouldn't think it'd be that easy to get that shape out of it. Just have to make sure that our next weld is reasonably far back, because you can see how distorted the other side is now. Yeah, there we go. So I'm thinking something like that. Oh, that's gonna look so cool. Have it kind of angled down a little bit. Stay. I want to look at you. Well, not quite like that, but you get the idea. It's not gonna stick out that far. It'll probably be pretty much flush, maybe sticking out like a 1/4 inch. All right, now we got to figure out how to get from point A in here, point B right here. Well, that was messy. Luckily that pipe was big enough to slide over this one, which is why I cut it that way. I can't cut any more off the V-band, otherwise the clamp won't work, so that should work. Now we need to test fit this and tack it. I ran out of V-bands. I thought I had at least one V-band like setup left. None. Got a bunch of 2.5 inch ones. No use. This rain is never ending. It's been like this for the past couple weeks. Florida summer for you. All right, that's looking good. I think I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in the V-band, but see what I mean by over elaborate? Like we could definitely have just cut it there and ran it kind of straight out, but what fun would that be? So our 90 needs to be over 90 by about probably 10 degrees if I had to guess. So we're gonna need to cut a new U-bend, plus this piece, like I don't even know what happened to it, but it's not quite round. I would not refer to that as round. Perfect. Oh, here's the snake we've got so far. Like I said, it looks cool. Especially because you're going to be able to see it, you know? Silly, but one of those things. The whole point is to make it a little silly. So now we just need our last piece that's going to crush down and come in here. I'm going to use the pie cut section off my exhaust from like 3 exhausts ago. So we're going to cut it, crush it, see what we need to do to make it fit. There we go, everything is all tacked together. Man, it honestly came out really good. Part of me wanted to do a bunch of pie cuts, but like you can't really see this anyway. And I already had this piece. I mean, this is all just material I had left over. So I don't know, this is a fun little project because, you know, the opportunity of the jack point presented itself. I was like, dude, we might as well try to go center exit. Like that would be pretty fun. And will there be problems with the tip touching the bash bar? Absolutely. Will it maybe crack the weld? Probably. Does it matter? Not really, because I mean, if you've been around for a while, you know this is like rendition number 6, 7 for the exhaust. I mean, we've gone through so many different tip and exit styles and resonator, no resonator. I mean, by the time I think that there's any problems with this, we'll probably have changed the whole exhaust system again anyway. So don't worry. Just a fun little project to try. I really like it. I totally dig it. Pull it out, weld it out, put it back in, and then you can see what it sounds like, because I think it's going to sound pretty cool. And see what the car looks like on the ground with it. Let's get to it. And it goes in and out. I was a little worried about that. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get it out. Oh yeah, we're good. Sweet. I love seeing exhaust stuff that you tack and build on the car once you take it off the car, because it just looks so much more elaborate. When it's on the car, it has a purpose of why it goes the ways it goes. But when you take it off the car, it's just bends and swirls and twists. I don't know. Anyway, let's weld it out. Should be easy. 1, 2, freaking 3 welds. Not bad. right, got that all finished up. None of the welds came out astounding. I don't know if you'll even be able to see it. There was just a lot of gaps and stuff, not making excuses. It is funny, the hardest thing about welding exhaust, the most time consuming thing, is just getting it into a position where you can get to the next part of the weld. Like as you see, I have this, which is an armrest, so if you're welding something high, you can, you know, rest your hand and slide it, but I've used it way more for holding an exhaust in a certain position than anything else. I gotta come up with some better system, but for now, this works. So let this thing cool down a little more. It's still a little toasty, and then we'll toss it on. Give you guys a look at it in here real quick before I drop it down. I want to look at it myself. I like it. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just satisfying. The freaking loop-de-loop, I don't know. The little things that make you happy in life. Boom. All right. Here's what it looks like on the ground. Barely see the tip poking through. You can almost see the pie cuts. You can kind of see them through the laser cut logo right there. I don't know, I think it looks good. You can't really see the whoop-de-whoop section from the bottom. I mean, I guess you kind of can. It's obviously on ramps right now, but you can kind of see it. It's not super blatant though, which, I mean, it's just because I tried to tuck it up as high as I could. But yeah, let's try it out. Let's see what it sounds like. Before we pull this thing off the lift to move on to the projects we have to do up top, we have one more project to tackle down here. So I cut these jack points off the car when I did the bash bar, because I'm going to be running just the bash bar, and they looked like little fangs hanging down if you didn't cut them off. But we need to plate them in and weld them. You know, just cap them off, weld them, clean them up, throw a coat of paint on them. So this one's a little wonky. I got a new tool that I'm excited to use, so we get to use it on this to clean this up, and then we'll break out the CAD. All right, now we just need some CAD, cardboard aided design. Well, I welded much more poorly than I expected. Yeah, just, I don't know, the welder was struggling. I was like, this is gonna be easy peasy. We're gonna get some freaking dimes stacking, but I don't know, it just did not want to weld great. But whatever, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna grind it down anyway, clean it up, and we'll throw a coat of paint on it. All right, at the back here, which is what you're gonna see, it looks like nothing happened. Perfect. All right, we got that done, plated and painted. Looks good. Sweet, so now we need to pull this thing off the lift because we got some work to do on the inside. You know what, before we start on the interior project, since it's guaranteed to rain again here in an hour or so, let's go take this thing for a rip, see what the exhaust sounds like now, like cruising, ripping, etc. So what we need to do is build a clutch stop. So basically, right now we've got the stock clutch pedal, but we have an aftermarket slave cylinder throwout bearing combo in the trans. It's adjustable. So we'll want it to be where the clutch will fully release and can go another 1/4 inch. So when you're letting off the clutch, you have a little bit of play before it starts grabbing, because any bit past that and we're overstroking the slave cylinder in the trans, which I think is my problem. I had an issue with the clutch grabbing higher and higher and higher. If you saw the clutch kickers video, basically I had the pedal adjusted way out and the clutch was grabbing in the middle, and then as the event went on, I was adjusting the pedal further and further in and it was still grabbing higher and higher. So now it grabs pretty much at the top, but it feels like there's some slack at the top of the pedal. So we're gonna start out with just adding a clutch stop, and then we'll see how that goes. If we need to pull the trans and figure out maybe replace that slave cylinder, I don't know, but we gotta make a clutch stop either way. So might as well start there. All right, so my original plan was to drill a hole in the firewall, weld a nut, and then have basically a threaded bolt so the stop's adjustable. But I found these 2 threaded holes, which wind up basically right where the clutch bottoms out. So I'm gonna use these transfer punches onto a piece of steel, and we're gonna build our stop off of that so it's removable. Our supply flat bar to the rescue once again. Works out perfect, needs to be 3 inches by 1.5 inches. All right, so with the transfer punches, we have them threaded into the holes, and basically I'm gonna hold this plate where I want it, tap it, and then we should have a punch center to drill into, but you guys are kind of in the way, so can't bring you along for the party. All right, here's our plate. I decided to make it a little wider and slot the holes. This is the Temp V1. Here's our angle. So basically the firewall to that angle of the piece that we're bolting it to. So we subtract that from 180 and we get 35 degrees that we need to cut into our piece that I'm gonna weld onto this to make it straight. Here's another way we can check our measurement. So in theory, this should be parallel to this with a 145 degree angle. Boom. All right, here's what we've got so far. I'm gonna just tack it on and then figure out what to do from here, because I need to be able to press the pedal with my leg and see how far it's going, and if we need an adjustable stop, or maybe this is gonna be enough. I cut it a little shorter. I want it to be adjustable, but yeah, anyway. Just 2 little baby tacks. So we've got a nut welded on the other side of this little plate tacked to this bar. This is the 35 degrees we talked about. Here's the bolt holes. I gotta weld that. Welded this guy. It's probably still a little toasty, which threads in here. This is our stop. The only complicated part here is we need a jam nut, but it really didn't need to be a whole ton longer than it was. So I'm trying to shave down a nut to make it as thin as possible for our jam nut, but anyway, it's coming out solid. I'm honestly really happy with it. I'm glad it's bolt-on instead of having to drill and weld in the car. Let that cool off. All right, I managed to cut a nut in half, and I think it should definitely get short enough now. So I've got it pretty much as short as it'll go. So it's still cooling off. Get impatient waiting for welded stuff to cool off, but we're gonna try to throw it in and see how it fits. Alrighty. There it is installed. Fits perfect, works perfect. It's like exactly where it's supposed to be. You come off about 1/4 inch, boom. It engages. So I'm gonna do, oh, I can almost go, dang. Oh, I just wish I could go a little further. I guess I could do straight up like that. That would work. So I'll just get that tight. But anyway, yeah, it's perfect. So pull it out, paint it, we're done. Ta-da! There it is, all installed. Yeah, can you see it? Can you see it? I kind of messed the paint up because it was still wet, but it's dark out and I wanted to finish this up, but it works. You can see the clutch ends up right on it, even at its furthest point. I guess it could almost miss it. I meant to have that plate sideways, but that was where it tightened down to without having to get a wrench in there. We'll see how it is. If we have any issues with it, we'll rotate it or adjust it, but really happy with how that came out. Oh, I love making stuff. I guess that wraps us up for this video. Got a lot done. A lot of fun little projects. I absolutely love making stuff. It's just so fun. I don't know. It's so fun and so rewarding when you get the end result done. It's just cool to try to come up with it and piece it together and you see it start coming together. I absolutely, like, my favorite thing when it comes to working on cars is fab stuff, making stuff. But anyway, this is the end of the video. I'm not gonna jabber on and on. That's gonna be it. I'll see you guys for the next one. We got more work to do on the trailer, then we're going drifting with the LS Miata. So we get to test out all the stuff we've done to the trailer and the Miata all at the same time. So that'll be really fun. That'll be this weekend. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.